Those the minute we do that now.
Now we are. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Happy International Women Day. And today we are here with a lot of enthusiasm because we have number of very August women with me, and I'm very fortunate to talking to the lovely ladies with me. First of all, thank you for all of you to joining with me. I'm Sabahat, and with me, this is the list of women who are not only achieving women in their own personalities, but are leading the change in Pakistan. I would not take much of my time in talking about them, but I would like to give stage to every one of them to talk about their achievement, how they are changing the games for women in Pakistan. So one by one, I would be requesting each one of you to take a few moments to talk a little bit about yourself and what are you doing in your capacities, and congratulate you for being the woman because this is our day today. So I would start by calling out your name, Nadia. I'd start with you because you're the first one in my screen.
Sure, sure. So, hello everyone. I'm Nadia Ishtiaq. I'm the managing director at Caterate Securities. I've been a corporate and investment banker all my life. So, it's been 20 years in the corporate and investment banking industry. And, it's actually a cultural, shift when you've been a banker all your life and now that you're looking at a brokerage house, the brokerage industry. So there is definitely there's a difference in approach, but I am glad that there is female representation in the company. It's not at the required level, but yes, it's at 18% right now. And we are actually taking initiatives such as Fem Finance. So Fem Finance is a digital platform that we have recently launched to actually educate women and provide them access to tools and information to make informed decisions. Because a majority of investors and the responsibility of investment primarily lies with men only. Yeah, so we're working towards that.
Great to know you, Nadia. Thank you so much. Now I move to Manur. Yes, Manur.
Thanks so much, Sabahat. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here today with all these lovely women. I, by profession, am a barrister, so I was practicing law in the UK. Moved back to Pakistan a few years ago, and I'm currently the CEO of a company called Redtone Digital Services and the group vice president of a group of telecom and IT digitization companies. In a nutshell, I would say that I was working in the legal industry, which was in the UK, surprisingly, still very male dominated. Worked there for a few years, kind of made my entrance there, focusing primarily on an area which was a niche at the time. So, focusing on an area which was very non typical, so to say, for women to go into, which was again the IT space, the telecom space. Made a transition from there into actually working for a telecom company, which is what I'm doing at the moment, and working on digitization, which again is a very male dominated industry as well. But again, it was an interesting space to come into. I have to say that I was very lucky and privileged to sort of have opportunities to kind of be in a leadership position from a young age as well. It's really, I think, been very encouraging to see for other women coming into the industry and coming to our company as well. As Nadia mentioned as well, we're also not at an optimum level in terms of the number of women we have in the organization. But of course, working towards it, empowering them, creating those kind of spaces so that they can come in and feel welcome within our workspace. So that's a little on me.
Great, great to know you, Manur. Thank you. Yes, Esen, your turn now.
Thank you, Sabahat. First of all, it's lovely to connect with all of you. Thank you so much for having this and this platform and everyone who's watching us today. Basic introduction, I have been in the field of advertising for about 20 years now. I was almost a decade back that, my freelance venture, which started off with Creative Rhythms, we decided to take that leap of faith and set it up as an agency. So it started off as a strategy house. Today, mashallah, it's a full service advertising agency. And so we work with we have different clientele obviously, and it's varied over because we deal with Pakistan, with GCC countries and Europe. However, just like that, more women oriented businesses, especially small businesses or women conferences or all of these things, they naturally just come to me. And it's interesting to be a part, and to contribute in this way. As for my own team, we are relatively a smaller team, but we make sure that as an employer we really encourage, and women are an equal part of it. So in advertising in general, I would say, like how other industries are struggling, women over there are actually, we're what how it was back in the days. Today women are taking the leading parts, and the
Yes.
typical mentality and the typical stereotype that we see, we're still struggling. Obviously we as a society will continue to struggle for some time, but relatively in advertising, we're glad to see women leading the roles. So
Great
yeah.
to know you, Esen. Yes, Huda, now you.
Hi guys, Assalamualaikum. So first of all, happy Women's Day to everybody,
Same to
to
you.
all the amazing women around the world. So I mean, just a quick introduction about myself. I've been in the education industry for over a decade now. Came back from university. Initially, wanted what I thought was a real job, but something in HR and talent management because that's where I specialized. Turned out it was a part-time gig in one of Karachi's top schools, and that, alhamdulillah, somehow those few months over there, where which was supposed to be a few month thing, ended up being lifetime calling. Where wahan se I transitioned onto now working on my own, where I work with different schools around Karachi, Lahore, and we had started with London pre-COVID as well, but then दुनिया बंद हो गई तो पूरे लंदन के ऑपरेशन थोड़े बंद हो गए but it was just in its infancy उस time पे. But we work on providing number of things, very hands-on curriculum training to schools in terms of their teachers and in terms of the students. We help them optimize the resources, and आपकी जितनी भी preliminary या जितनी भी basic resources हैं, we tell them how you can more effectively do that and sort of help kids more in working with more real life situations क्योंकि आपका जो AC वाले का या plumber का जो assistant होता है, he can obviously do a better job than what you and I are going to learn from MIT. So I mean that's what the entire philosophy of Imagine is. That's what my entire team believes in. We've also recently ventured into robotics, where we are now. This is something very passionate. I'm personally passionate about because of it gendered stereotypes को हम जरा break करने की कोशिश करें and trying to bring in more girls into the thing. So I'm hoping to inshallah carry on from here only and spread our wings far and wide. So this is my
Great.
story.
Great work. Thank you so much. Saima, over to you, please.
Hello, everybody, and Assalamu alaikum. Glad to have you met here. Happy Women's Day to all and all the viewers. It is such an exciting opportunity that I am here talking to two colleagues, ex-colleagues of mine as well, and one being my mentor as well, Fatima. I represent a company named by Hanker Technologies. It's a big data artificial intelligence company. We work with a lot of fashion retailers across Pakistan. And just like Huda explained, the concept came into being pre-COVID, but it actually accelerated during COVID. And we'll talk about it more, that how we are helping and making the inclusivity of technology and digitalization across the fashion industry of Pakistan. I represent a personal platform as well with the name of She Matters. Started off 6 years back, but now it has taken a drive, and I'm very passionate about this. And it talks about adding your voice in the orchestra of life, however, wherever we can help and put our bit to enable women. And by the way, many men are also part of this, right? And this is how it should be, in my opinion, because women remain a very important element, pillar of this society. And we all together have to enable women from all spheres of life. So that's about me. I have actually served corporate Pakistan in the capacity of HR and communication. And this venture, the entrepreneurship part, just came into being 3 years back. And I'm enjoying this space. And I'm also enjoying the space of technology while including women in all spheres.
Great to know you. Thank you so very much. And last but not least, Ms. Fatma.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Some very exciting stories that all of you are sharing, and I wish all the very best in your journey, the impact that you will create as women leaders. not only based on the experience that you have, but also the value that you are creating in your own capacities. I'm Fatima Asad-Said. I'm the CEO of Abacus Consulting, which is a professional services firm focusing on technology outsourcing and consulting services. And we have been adding value to Pakistan and now across four continents over the last 35 years. It's been an exciting journey. I was nominated as CEO in 2021. So it's been exactly 2 years. And in fact, March 8th was when the announcement went in. So this is like a 2 year anniversary being the CEO of this amazing company. My own journey, the background has been from HR, change management, and now governance. Uh, Firmly on a business leadership role, and I also serve on 5 other boards as an independent director. One of the messages that is very important for us to collectively not only understand but work towards is to ensure that we provide support to each other as we rise and as we inspire. And I feel that throughout my journey right now, I've had some remarkable experience with both men and women who have supported along the way. Because one thing is that you cannot rise without a good support system, whatever that may be, whether it's through mentorship, whether it is through the policies and the systems and the culture that you have within the organization to facilitate and nurture the next generation of women into leadership positions. But you cannot do that alone. Sam also mentioned about the partnership, recognizing the men as allies and as champions. That's extremely critical. And one of my favorite quotes, all time quotes, is of our founder, Qaid Azam, who's saying, okay, no nation can rise without the men and women working side by side. So if we are true to that and we dovetail that into the culture and the vision that we have, secondly, DE&I is a boardroom mandate. It is not an HR mandate. HR facilitates, supports the C-level SWE in order to achieve it, but it is firmly aligned with what is happening at the governance level. So if we can inculcate it, and that's what we try to do at Abacus as well, create an equal opportunity environment, a safe and nurturing environment, and facilitate careers based on merit and performance, but also recognize that it's not just about gender, it's also about other elements of diversity as well. So I wish everyone a very happy International Women's Day, and let's embrace equity together. Thanks.
Thank you. It's a very important aspect. Whenever I hear things about diversity and whenever I look at how International Women's Day is celebrated and how diversity is celebrated, I always hear this very important aspect in business. Whenever there is the tightening of the budget and the economic issues and the current we are seeing the impact of the currency devaluation and whatnot, inflation and whatnot. The question arises that is there a business case for gender inclusive workplace? Yes, there is an ethical case. Yes, there is a social cause, and yes, there is, as very rightly pointed out by Fatma, that no nation can actually achieve the potential by not including the rest of the population. But businesses do talk about it that in this economic situation, what is the case for a gender inclusive workplace? We are losing money, then the infrastructure and all the expenses that including women in the workplace involve. What do you think? Why companies should focus on it? And why now do you think is more important to focus on gender inclusive workplace? And this is like open to everyone, and we can generate the conversation for the further on this. Any of you can pick up that.
Sabahat, I think your answer was very much in your question that there is a significant business benefit that we don't talk about. To start with, I would say that you are increasing productivity and innovation because when there are diverse teams, that diverse talent is being brought to the table, diverse ideas are being brought to the table. So in that element, that's the problem. We always put this. in second priority, because we just look at it as a social responsibility and as an HR specific role, right? But even for stakeholders right now, if your business has, a diverse culture and is gender inclusive, then the stakeholders also feel that, it's a much trusted organization. So in that aspect, and I would really want everyone else to, say their share, but I personally feel that, overall, the company, when we're talking about, you're away from all of those, mitigating the legal and reputational risks also involved. So all of these things come with inclusiveness, and obviously they quite directly impact with the business benefits.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else want to contribute? Please go ahead.
I just feel that, there's a problem in the mindset. I don't understand that, why this is perceived to be an extra exercise, from business performance. Because, yes,
Hmm.
it has been proved that, organizations with well balanced gender diversity ratio, high working standards, and which are focused towards ESG framework have actually performed better in terms of profitability and managing risk and even in attracting investments. So it is actually a strategic move towards sustainable long-term growth rather than, any short-term marketing stunt.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that companies are still reluctant about it, knowing that there is a kind of market growth is there, the products is there, the innovation is there. There is a kind of the challenges inside within the organizations in terms of the practices or the policies, or there is a kind of a mindset that stops people from including the policies that are productive. Is it the mindset or the process issue or the policy issue?
Guys, I mean, see, I've been working with schools and I work with kids from the age of 4 till all the way up till university level. And one thing I've noticed is mindset, it has a huge impact in that part. Because a lot of kids go have a very thought process where, something is ingrained from their parents. Okay, we can't do this because it's very male oriented. Eventually, I mean, why should we work hard in our accounts classes, or why should we try and gain any real world skills, and why should we even focus on doing teamwork in a group which is with boys, because hey, that's not something that's allowed at home. So the mindset does play a huge role, and eventually when these children come on the stage of doing internships, and हमारे culture में unfortunately इतना नहीं है अभी भी, but when they come on that stage of doing these odd jobs and internships and eventually into the corporate world as such, they aren't well versed. There is a huge gap, and we all understand that gap. It's very evident. But as these guys said, okay, the dearth of resources जो हमारे पास हैं, it is insane, unfortunately, and we somehow need to start cutting that down. I mean, it has to start from the grassroots levels.
Fatma, you have been seeing the 35 years of change in the consultancy, in the way the organizations have evolved over the period of time. Have you seen any change in the generational view or the gap that generations have gone through in terms of not the human generation, but the organizational generational changes? And do you see those challenges changing? And do you recommend any course of action that today's organization can change, can take differently, can do differently?
So strategically, there has been a paradigm shift. There's no doubt about it. You can see it if you focus on the market leaders, not only those companies that are operating within Pakistan, but also at a global level. There's a definite shift because inclusivity, as far as gender is concerned, is smart business. That is one point. Two, from an economic impact perspective, the more women we encourage in terms of not just labor participation or just workforce into the corporate sector, also in the social sector, that means you are also influencing education levels. Just think about it. So the more you encourage women to be participating in economic generation, whether it is at a national level or whether it's at a corporate level, you're also impacting one, the level of education, because quite frankly, every company has a standard
Yeah.
benchmark, or you have to be either intermediate or bachelor's or master's, depending on the nature of work that particular organization does. Two, if you think about it, women are generally the primary caregivers, whether of the elderly or of the next generation, whether your role as a mother or whether role as a someone who is providing that. So they are really part of the decision making process as well. So what I see overall within Pakistan, at least in that context, a definite shift. There's some remarkable examples out there, not only of just multinationals, because obviously that impacts us, what is happening at a global level, where is the benchmark, but also top leading national companies. And I'm sure all of you are aware of those. That is also cascading down into the entrepreneurial spirit and then entrepreneurial thinking, the startups. Most of you amazing women who are part of this particular panel as well, who have taken that brave step into doing something which is your own, I'm sure recognize that. One thing I would say is it is about mindset. And it's about ensuring that that mindset is dovetailed into the policies and the systems that are there. And then it's culture. Culture eats strategy for breakfast at the end of the day. So there is a positive change. The last thing is the generational diversity within an organization. I think we ignore that at times as business leaders. अब आप सोचे right now you have someone who may be 65 plus or 70, maybe on a contract basis, and you have someone who's entering the market early 20s. That's 5 generations from baby boomers all the way up to millennials and the next generation after the millennials as well, entering the workforce from digital natives to digital immigrants. So if you are to harness and then truly recognize what is the percentage of women, the next generation, I feel, is much more open to that particular change and they expect that change. So the question we need to ask ourselves as leaders of different businesses at different levels, wherever we are in that journey, is what kind of culture would I like to maintain to attract that talent who will want to work with us, and they're the ones who are making a change. So my short answer after a long-winded response is there's a definite shift. And if we don't recognize it, we will not remain relevant.
Absolutely. I'd like to know from you, Saima, and then I move to Nadia as well, because it's the kind of, dovetailed answer. I'll borrow words from Fatma on this. This year, we are talking a lot about digital, which is actually theme from UN as well. Both of you are working in the technology startups or technology-based funding as well. Technology or digital world is a great equalizer as well when it comes to connecting the world from those who are not able to participate in the economic cycle and now they can. Do you see that shift coming in, especially in terms of where you are now connecting the world, where the fashion industry, which is traditionally those connect not very well connected to the digital earlier traditionally, but now they are coming to the technology. Is it somehow equalizing? And yes, there was a gender balance somehow in terms of the supplier side, but not that much equal in the economic side from the benefit or the economic cycle point of view. Do you think there are equalizing happening from the digital empowerment side?
Thank you, Sabahat, and very pertaining question to me. I think that I'm very happy to learn that things are changing. And yes, it is about mindset, but that mindset is also changing. At some circumstances, it is changing because of the younger generation, but I also see that the older generation is also realizing. Now, I met recently a very young girl from Multan who was shifted to Tonsa, and from there she was making panjiri, and we enabled her how she can sort of sell that panjiri, and now she's selling it to the international market from an e-commerce perspective. So yes, technology is enabling a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of newcomers, a lot of people who are want to start their own setup. Yes, it is playing a lot of role. It is about mindset. Things are changing. We recently hired somebody who is a graphic designer, and it's very exciting to share this. and she comes from a very humble family, but then she drives her own bike. Now think about this mindset that she comes from a humble family where everybody does maintains a certain decorum of dress, but even while maintaining that decorum, she was adamant that she has to follow her passion, which is graphic designing. She started to learn that on her own, and now she actually gets a bike on installment because she wants to drive herself to the workplace. So mindset is changing. Back in the days, maybe early 2000, and I'm talking about in the Pakistani scenario, things were not like that. Mindset is changing, and technology, definitely answering to your question, Sabahat, is doing a lot of equalizing impact to a lot of people, enabling women as well. She learned graphic designing through online courses, and she was told and mentored by somebody that she can learn that passion of her. Then she got herself introduced to a platform which was enabling women. She learned how she can take a bike on installment, etc., etc. So, giving that example to you, yes, technology is helping and equalizing the ecosystem, and we all women and all other sponsors and anchors in the society should ensure, because that is one thing, technology is one thing through which you can accelerate everything through digitalization. So we must encourage at every stage how we can enable any person, any woman around us through technology. It is playing a very important role.
Yeah, so with that, Nadia, I think I will take that further, one step further. While we see the good side of it, enabling and empowering women, there is one very important part, and you mentioned in your introduction as well that there are very few women in the field that you are in, and there come a question of safe space, creating the safe space for women, and that comes where, and it's not only in the technology, in the physical space as well, but more so in the technology, because even when you are in the physical space, you have the interaction, and there are options that you can actually take. But in technology, there is a very important aspect that there is a digital parda. People can be behind it and can do and say things which you cannot even imagine. So
Yeah, so
creating and
Sabahat, I
having,
just want to, excuse me, so I just want to make a point on
yeah,
the technology front. That's the way the world has transformed, and it is
yeah,
about accepting the norms, as we know, the new normal that we spoke about post-COVID, but it's here to stay because it is a virtual world which
yes,
is enabling many more women to come into the workforce. For
yes,
example, at Abacus, we continue to have our Abacus Anywhere policy. It was
yes,
initiated at the time of COVID, but we continued with it because we saw that the productivity, especially of young parents, not just women, but also young parents, they continue to work. Of course, there are other elements to working from home as well, from a security and tools, etc. perspective. But I've had some of my young colleagues who are first-time parents or toddlers that they have, and they feel that the quality of their life and the balance that they have between family and work is that much more enriching, and they don't
yes,
have to necessarily leave their jobs or careers to tend to the family. The other day also, one of our young consultants, she came up to me, and she was, and I was very grateful to her. I always encourage feedback, and she says she has I think a 9-month-old baby, and she says, "Okay, he goes to sleep at 10 o'clock or whatever time it is, and then I can work, but I'm not worried that I have to stop working." And our leaders are enabling us to do that. So technology is how you use it and you leverage on it. Secondly, access to information. Three, connectivity. Sitting in Lahore or Karachi or anywhere in Pakistan, you can be connected to anywhere in the world as well and forge new alliances, new relationships. At least the work doesn't stop and your learning doesn't stop. So there are great
absolutely.
benefits, and it's already here, it's here to stay.
It is here to stay, and it is already here. While it is offering so many more benefits and access, there are aspects, I think, which we need to discuss and decipher. That it's very important, and I would like your views about it, Nadia. And thank you so much, Nilofar, for joining back as well. That you dropped out, but thank you so much for joining back. That we need to create more safer space online as well. While we have not many laws and legal support available, do you think that we are doing enough to make the digital space safe as well? And what are your views? How do we make sure that digital and technological world is remains as enabling as Fatima and Syma has alluded to?
First of all, I actually, totally agree with all the points that these lovely ladies have made. I would just like to share my experience. There was a time when I started working 20 years back. So the main concerns in interviews used to be that, let's not invest in hiring females because they're gonna get married and then they will leave, and they will require early leave as well. So yes, there has been a gradual shift, and thanks to all the ladies out there, who have worked hard and paved the way for us. That people are actually preferring female workforce in organizations. So the with the mindset, actually, I just wanted to say that a lot of organizations see it as an obligation rather than actually realizing the benefit of gender diversity and inclusion. So when you say gender diversity, it's not that it's a marketing stunt that you publish in your annual reports or what. You have to create a culture. By providing a safe space means that there are adequate harassment policies in place. Yes, there are protections and rights and proper whistleblowing programs in place. So when it comes to digital, I feel that even I am not that educated to assess that what my rights are. Even there's a World Bank report that suggests that females are 3 times more exposed to harassment, digital harassment, than men. And we actually don't know where to go, where to report, and how to address that. So this is something that needs to be addressed, and proper sessions, sessions should be held, to educate women.
Yeah, thank you. Nilofar, I come to you because you just joined, and we were talking about the challenges and the way that things have evolved over the period of time. If you would have to pinpoint one key area which you think is something that needs to really be improved or can be a game changer for the workplaces, for the society, to improve the situations for women, or you may say that increase the number of women in the workforce or in the economic cycle. What would that be? Maybe one or two key elements that you think are the enabler for women inclusion in the economic cycle.
First of all, Sabahat, thank you so much for having me in here. And my apologies for being late. I was traveling from here, and there are lots of events going on in the city today. So, juggling between all of them. And I am elated to be a part of these wonderful panel of wonderful, successful ladies. Half of them are my mentors. I am elated to be a part of this panel. And thank you. Very pertinent question. Having said that, with an experience of having my own firm, as you know, Consultancy is a consulting firm of my own, and working in another firm for another firm, Corporate Research and Investigations, which has its operations all over the world. Like we have offices in UAE, we have office in Qatar, we have offices in London, we have offices in Saudi Arabia. So coming with that background and having the female inclusion in all those countries alongside Pakistan, and when I am serving as associate director for the company and I am responsible to devise the policy for the entire countries, I mean, for all the regions of CRI, it sometimes gets difficult to bring Pakistan at par with all those offices of mine when I talk about the company that I work for. Because, the rules, regulations, the rights of women in all those countries are, I would say, far more secure, diversified, and more inclusive than we can have in Pakistan. Moreover, I do have 70% of the my workforce in Pakistan is constitutes of females, and it's alarming. I mean, I won't say alarming, but it's a good thing or surprising that most of the women are serving in this company since past 15 years. So the thing is that the only a game changer, I would say, when you want to sustain the number or increase the number of women workforce in a country like Pakistan, where your office is situated in Islamabad or in a metropolitan city like Karachi and Lahore, I think the most important thing is to get a diversified culture, have your policies aligned with those of the international laws and regulations. It became easier for me because we have to align the policies in a way or the other with other countries and other regions as well. So you have to promote a culture where there are policies laid down, foundational policies and procedures for maternity leave of women, where there are laid foundation and policies for easy backups of women working in the organization. And as far as their working environment is concerned, it should be safe and secure. You should have proper women harassment policy. Having said that, we have alignment with FOSPA in Islamabad that we currently deal with. And God forbid, I haven't come across a single case during my tenure of employment that I encountered. But having said that, we have the female legislation, the lawyers with us, the litigation with us. Other than that, we are in touch with FOSPA, the members of that, with their lawyers as well. Having said that, we have now in Islamabad, we do have access to the nearest. I would say when it comes to the women protection, even if you speak louder, harassment doesn't come in the form of I would say you necessarily have to touch someone in an inappropriate manner. I would believe harassment more or less nowadays, when we talk about psychologically, because since I'm a psychologist too, would be talking loudly to a female or a male. It's irrespective of the way. I mean, it's irrespective of the touch. It's about how you disrespect someone. I mean, I think none in my office I would take it so seriously if someone even talks to someone else loudly. So we do have readily access. The organizations should have ready access to the Women Gender Protection Rights Bureau. Other than that, the organizations should have the policies in line with their policies, in which they say that you have to report the incident within 15 days of its occurrence. And the other thing is that we have in this Islamabad, there is a police station which is solely reserved for females, and they have the female complaint cell in it all for itself. And the most important thing is, Sabahat, we in Pakistan have policies and procedures all aligned. Sometimes they're not aligned, and whenever they are aligned, it's a huge need to communicate to our staff in a way or the other, because it should be included as a part of their orientation process. So having said that, the things identified by Fatima, by Syma, by Nadia, Mahnur, Iram, and Nada, all are very relevant and pertinent. Everything, when we talk about inclusion, and when we talk about protection of women, and when we talk about inclusivity, and when we talk about providing them the safe environment, comes from our own set of experiences. So having said that, with a close sector and a close circle of empowered women in Islamabad and around, I would say it is very important to make your policies and procedures, number one, in compliant with the policies and procedures of the federal ombudsman for protection of women rights. Other than that, you should educate your women at the workplace, as well as men, about the policies and procedures, about the bare minimum standards that are considered as harassment. So it should be inclusive as a part of their orientation, I think, and to accommodate women to serve at their ease at the workplace. I think you should have a good policy for their maternity leave, for their backup plans, for their sick leave, to provide for them to have the childcare inside your offices for them. I think all of them, and all. Other than that, there's a very important factor of providing them the flexible work hours to work. I think all of it constitute to make workplace a better environment for women to thrive and to sustain for a longer period of time, even when they think that they are on a family way, or they want to extend their family, or they want to get married in a way or the other.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nilofar. I tend to conclude and bring them all to one point, although we have a couple of minutes, and bring to a very important point here. Every year we talk about all these stuff, and to me, it has kind of become, a divide. One urban side of, beautiful policies, processes, us women sitting together talking about what can be done and what has been done. But the progress, and it makes me feel angry about it, the progress is so slow that we are still at the bottom of the pyramid in the gender index. The only 21% is there, and we are there for so long now, and there still is, the bulge of the youth, which is without any employment, without any education, without any training, and 62% of them are women who are uh, without any of the access to all these beautiful drawing room things we talk about. And other side of that divide is not so rural, peri-urban, within our reach, within our means, within our sight, but we are not able to see them. We are not able to change the plight because the progress is so slow. We have the laws, we have the processes, we have the places where these things are happening. I would like to know what more can be done. We are all leaders sitting here, and we are still seeing that there are less number of leaders still in Pakistan. Women leaders are lesser. The quota of one person, at least one person on board, is still there. We are still not talking about more than one. We are still talking about the quota on the board, and we are still not passed through that. Why the progress is so slow when we are still talking about these beautiful things? Why there is still a divide? What are those uh, breakthrough, the turnaround things that need to be done? We're sitting here with great minds. All of you are great minds doing the beautiful things that you're doing, challenging the status quo that they're doing. I would like to, take away from this session today some solutions, some turnaround points. Manur, Huda, Fatima, and every one of you, come up with something, some turnaround points which can reduce this gap, which challenge the status quo, and really invite people to embrace equity in a more meaningful way. What I would like at least one point from each one of you. How can we, probably further the cause in much more faster way than we've been doing from past 20 years, past 70 years? How can we further it in probably faster than before, or a more agile way? Let's just say it this way. If we start with any one of you, please take the lead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yes.
think I think I would. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Huda, go ahead.
Acha, okay, so here, look, it's actually, Sabahat, I agree and I disagree with you at the same time. When we look at urban settings, I mean, it's a very sort of massive conundrum because when you look at urban settings, we actually see the divide a lot more in the official workplace, in the corporate sector. Each of us are sitting here with our own stories, with our own baggage, and yes, it's played a massive role in forming who we are today. But having said that, let's look at some of the more rural areas. We see a lot of women there who are mostly taking initiative in, even things such as basic agricultural fields and all of that. Yet, unfortunately, they don't come as part of the official workforce, labor force. अब उसमें एक और मसला आता है that we are only talking about our community, our society, our nation. Hey, we are living in a day and age of global citizenship. And यहाँ पे we've talked so much about this digital parda, and Fatima just narrated, and Fatima and Syma both narrated stories of how the digital world is now helping them, is helping, some of the people they know in sort of getting out there and not having to divide their lives. And Nilofar ने पहले mention किया कि, ये सारे laws वगैरह हो रहे हैं. So it's very humbling to know, and Wahi, I think all of us are on the same page. Nadia is the only rep, like one of the only few female reps in her organization. Manur is kind of also struggling in her own way. So we all have our stories, right? But I think we now need to forums like these, and please correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. Forums like these don't only need to be focused on women like us. Yes, Alhamdulillah, we have the education, we have the background, and we somehow navigated our ways and gotten out there. कि हम highlight कर सकते हैं. But they also need to be highlighting those women in different areas who, in their own ways, have their own little startup from home or somehow contributing to the household income and so on. And एक चीज, one thing, if anything, before we can actually get on showing, by teaching what basic etiquettes are and how to delve yourself in the digital world, एक चीज हमें एक दूसरे को सिखाना है. It's not only women who should be celebrating each other's success. As a community, as a society, we should be all celebrating each other's success and helping each one of us grow up. Myopic इसमें नहीं रह सकते. It's now a collaborative world and we need to take it forward from there, inshallah.
I would actually, yes, and that was said very well by Huda, and I would, reinforce that thought process. It is about collaboration, and you're right, Sabahat, a lot more needs to be done. But there's always a starting point, and I feel that if we focus on what is being done, what is working, that has a snowball effect. And then by just being here, I feel supporting each other, just the 8, 9 of us as well, appreciating. Some of you talked about mentorship as well. I'm very humbled by that as well. But the idea is to see how we can ensure that that snowball effect goes to a global level and has impact on society. Yes, as I said, there's always something to be done. There are always not very good stories that come out. It's how we look at the narrative and how we define the narrative. So it's about, glass half full or glass half empty. I sit on a few boards which are non for profit, where they are focused on women empowerment and financial inclusion, vocational skill development across Pakistan as well. And there's some remarkable stories, not just from the urban cities, not just KLI, not Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, into the smaller towns, into the smaller villages, and some exceptional achievements that are being showcased of the next generation. And societal change takes time. The idea is to collaborate, work with the market leaders, whoever they may be, in their own space, whether it is in the corporate sector, private, any particular industry as well. And then that will have an impact on those, they will have no choice but to follow. Once that translates into data, unfortunately, in Pakistan, well, there are many things that we still need to course correct, and I won't go into what we are facing at this point in time. But quite frankly, we are very weak on research and development. We're very weak on data collection and the credibility of the data. And if we can actually strengthen that, I have a feeling that these numbers will be much larger. Personally, I've met some, as I said, remarkable women out there who have contributed and impact societies in their own community at a far greater level. So maybe that's not being showcased. The last thing I would like to say is, on the point of showcase, we don't showcase,
Yes.
actually. We are
Yes.
reluctant because, unfortunately, a psyche, we have to pull someone down when they are doing well. I think it's our responsibility as part of not only International Women's Day and embracing equity, but just in that spirit of collaboration to, give a shoulder up to everyone and support them in the true form. I think then you will see that there will be a shift from the negative to the positive.
True.
Thanks.
True. True.
My
Simon.
quick one cent to, and I will take forward the snowball impact that, in my view, how can we create it? And very, very rightly mentioned by Fatma and of course Huda. I think that we do not have to wait for these days to celebrate all of that. I think in our daily life, everyday routine, starting from home, as they say, charity begins at home, at work, everywhere, in the community, wherever we can do a small bit of action, which can become an anchor action or enabling action for anybody, for any women especially. We must keep on doing that. Maybe by talk, by mentoring, by actions, maybe by instilling a thought in anybody's mind. So I think small little actions can really make a snowball impact rather than waiting for events and discussions to happen. So if we all 9 can take a pledge today, right now, that we will try to practice this in our daily life, day in, day out, I think we shall be able to contribute in our own bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else would like to? Nadia, and Manur. Then.
Yeah, Sabad, I think I'll take this from here as well, because I
Sure.
feel like what you said, like Huda as well, I feel that I like partially agree and also partially disagree, because I was giving my own example. I actually never intended on joining Red Tone, which is also a family business to me, because I genuinely thought over the years, could be something I misconceived, but I genuinely thought from a very young age that it was a very male-dominated space. But I think just that in the last couple of years that I've seen the transition, where my own father, who was running this company for the last many decades, made the transition so smooth for me. And not just him, then there were a lot of people that his colleagues at his core team, which has now become my core team, welcomed me, very warmly. And when I saw that change, I guess that was a shift in mindset. That was a transition that was smooth. I'm not saying it is perfection across the board, that this is something which everybody has a privilege of, but I'm just saying that at least in a way we see that positive change. I don't think really being a lawyer myself, I'm an ingrained lawyer, went through my bachelor's and master's in law and my bar and everything. So I'm truly a lawyer mindset and at heart. But then I don't think these sort of practices can be driven by policies and by being forced and being enforced upon organizations or people. I think it needs to be a mindset change, which is something we all talked about. I too agree with the thought that it needs to stem from a very young age. It's not something which can be ingrained in you now, which is why when you see a lot of us on this panel as well are young leaders. So you're seeing a different mindset of leaders coming into the market as well. And it's not just leaders as well, it's a workforce that is a lot younger. You have a Gen Z audience coming in, you have a millennial which has already been here. So that mindset is already coming in. And I think the more you make space for Gen Z, or the more you sort of encourage these the sort of younger individuals to come into the workforce, you yourself will see a much faster shift because they will bring so much energy and enthusiasm and such a positive mindset that I think the change which leaders who have been in the industry the last 3-4 decades, they've already paved for us. They went through a much tougher time. We have it a lot easier. So I think given that space, given the youth coming in, the mindset already exists. It's going to only improve. And I think the change we're talking about will, inshallah, be a lot faster than that's what we're used to seeing over the last few years. So that's sort of my 2 cents on this space.
Thank you, Manu. Before I take another one, can we have a quick picture before Fatima leave? We'll take a quick picture of embrace equity. Yeah. Let's do the pose and we'll take the quick.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But who will do the shot? Yeah, do that. Yeah. I'll do the one as well. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Fatima,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you so much. I have to excuse myself. It was wonderful, and all the very best, ladies. Wonderful to hear
Thank
you.
you very much. I would also like to leave. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you for
Fatima.
having us here as
Absolutely.
well. Thank you, Prabhat. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Fatma.
Thank you. Yes, Nadia, I'd like to take points from you as well.
Yeah. See, Sabahat, I just feel that, the issue is actually quite complicated rather than just providing safe and, diverse inclusion space in organizations. Everything starts from your home. एक तो हमें वहां से start करना है, right? We need to give that confidence to our little ones that that they can achieve anything in life, and we need to educate them that that no means no. If you don't like anything, that you need to stand up and respond. B, all the stakeholders, including organizations, governments, education, academic institutes, they all have to play their role in keeping a gender balance and providing equal opportunities. Actually, most medical students are females, yet only few choose to continue their career, right? So it's not that एक तो हमारे यहाँ लिटरेसी वैसे ही कम है, एंड उसके बाद जो बेचारे पढ़ते भी हैं वो अपना कंटिन्यू नहीं करते, एंड दिस हैज अ लॉट टू डू विद द कल्चर एंड द सोसाइटी नॉर्म्स that we have. So while we have seen a gradual shift in the mindset and everything, yes, this is going at a very slow pace, and this can be accelerated by people like us. Most of us have board representations on different companies, so A, we can start from our home, and B, we can educate people and inculcate these values wherever we can. So I feel this is how we can play our role. And I'm now going to give a very unpopular statement right now that I just feel that we all say that women should support women, But I don't see that in reality in majority of the cases. Seriously. I've never been, treated bad based on my gender. And, I've always had really good bosses. But yes, it's my own fraternity that had, really made things difficult. So we actually need to support and lift each other up.
So here you are. Here you have 9 supporters with you at least now. So yes, SNL.
Yeah, Sabal, I think everyone has. I
I
agree with.
think, Nadia, I would so relate to her. I think, yeah, if been given a
Yeah,
chance. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
please.
I would definitely, I think it's very relatable what Nadia said. I would 110% agree to what Manur said earlier, what Fatima Ji said earlier, and what Ishtiaq was saying earlier, and now what Nadia is saying now. It's because we as a women are somehow being a bit insecure in our own selves. It's been a while, so we talk about each other today, and then we just forget each other. We forget everything. Am I audible? My
Yeah,
yes,
you're
my
breaking
connection
up.
is a bit
Yeah.
disturbing. It's distorting. Am I audible?
A
Yeah.
bit, a bit.
I
It's
am.
breaking, but
If you can hear me now,
yes, yes,
can you hear me now, please?
yes,
Yes,
yes. We
yes.
can hear you.
So the thing is that we women are somehow insecure in our own selves when we, especially when we talk about the younger generation coming up, taking the C-suite roles. I mean, somehow we cannot bridge the gap between our own selves, and then we talk about Women's Day empowerment on the Women's Day, 8th of March every year. But deep down in the top C-suite where we are residing nowadays, where we are conducting so many meetings, I seldom see. I mean, I rarely see a kind of harmony among our own selves, and we are kind of getting insecure with our own selves. And I think my 2 cents for this Women Day would be for each other, and would be that we should conduct ourselves, a woman should conduct herself with three things: honesty, I would say loyalty, with deterrence, I would say. I mean, all these things are enough. These three things are enough to conduct yourself in a very professional way. Also, one should consider professional life very segregated from the personal life, I think. The women should. I mean, it's a high time, because people, at C-suite, when you're young and when you're at the C-suite, I think the male C-suite doesn't. I mean, they get some time to take you seriously as well. I mean, you have to conduct yourself in a manner, and then you have to think over and above these women issues among their own selves. I mean, so conducting yourself with dignity, integrity, and character is a huge shout out for the women slogan. I think for equity, when we talk about for the Women's International Women's Day message for 2023, when we talk about bridging the gaps, I think we need a good uh, pep talk on bridging the gaps among each other first, I think. And we need to put in a good effort in this, because if we keep thinking ourselves that someone has spent like 25 years in this organization, and a young girl is coming up, or the young lady is coming up with 8 to 10 years of experience, and the women at the top is the chief people officer or the CEO is not readily accepting her, who else will? I mean, you need to accept your own feminine lead females first, and then you got to be accepted by the society. What do you guys think about it?
Right. Well said, Nilofar. Thank you so much, Esen. Now your turn, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Sabahat. Everyone has added some beautiful points and main issues we've wonderfully discussed over here. And I would say the same thing, that we're talking about workplace inclusiveness, but all of this starts. It's very deep rooted. It is starting in our society. It is very deeply ingrained. So when we're talking about a change in the workplace, I think it is more important that we talk about a change overall. And to just sum it up, I would say that yes, we cannot change everything tomorrow. That's not going to happen. But at least the stone has been casted, and we will hopefully all we are seeing the ripple effect that's taking place now. And and I agree with all of them that not just women, I feel we as people need to celebrate others more. We really need to learn how to do that, because and it's okay if sometimes you feel that you don't want to. You need to question yourself. You need to sit down and internalize, where is that problem? So we can say, because it looks beautiful to say that, yes, we appreciate everyone, but if you're not, I think it's very important that we sit with ourselves, we see and we question that all of this change needs to start from each one of us. So we need to really internalize, and once we do that, we will see it happening on the outer end ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful message. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, viewers, for listening to us. I think the biggest message that we are taking away is that all of us, and thank you, Esen, for this beautiful message at the end, summing it all up. As people, we need to realize that inclusiveness starts from the change in the mindset, and that mindset has to change for everyone. We need to be inclusive as whole, and when we start being inclusive for ourselves, we embrace ourselves, we start embracing equity, we start embracing people as whole. And when you realize that I embrace myself and I embrace others, I start embracing the differences, and that's where the real change starts. And women are not just the other human being you need to embrace, but you need to start embracing each other, all the differences that are there. Thank you so much for the beautiful message, Essen, and all everyone here. And happy International Women Day to everyone, everyone listening, everyone being here. Thank you so much for your time, and
Thank
have
you
a
so
great
much.
day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye
Take
bye.
care, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.